Hi, hello, welcome to a video wherein I will be talking to you in installments, which is sort of like a vlog, I guess, I don't know, of my thoughts during reading this book of A Little Life by Yanagihara. I already would have hopefully also put up a video of my spoiler-free thoughts on this book, or like just my journey while reading this book, so you can check that out. If you have not read this book and do not want spoilers, this video is for the people who have read this book and just want to kind of like commiserate with me and watch me just like, I don't know, disintegrate, I guess. I don't know while reading this book, because I have thoughts and I feel like I need to shout them out into the void per se, or like into this screen to you, if that makes any sense. But what I am going to be doing is that I will be putting timestamps down below with like the parts that I will be talking about. So if you want to just get to the spoilers of a particular part as well within this book, I will be doing that, and it should be easy enough for you. I will now be talking about my thoughts from the beginning of this book till the end of chapter 1 in part 2. So, please leave if you have not read this book, and head on over to my spoiler free thoughts, if that makes sense to you, because even if you do like spoilers, I do not think that I will be giving you too much of context, so this just might sound like a bunch of balls to you. So yeah, I hope that this makes sense. And let me now get my like, I have a bunch of notes that I've been taking over here. Well, you can't even say it, it's fine. And I'm just gonna tell you what I thought. So in part 1, I thought it was okay. In the beginning I was a little confused as to whose parents are whose and all of that sort of stuff, but that's fine, I got a hang of it. William's story is also a bit sad, wherein just the thing with his brother and like how his parents were so aloof, but well, that's fine. I did get a little perturbed during the Jude self-harm bit, but then in part 2, now we're getting to part 2, I the self-harm bit was just so normalized. Like, I was just like, I mean, it was just on the page all the time, so I was like, wait, what's going on? So it wasn't like as, I don't know, shocking anymore, because there was just so much of pain all the time. If does that make sense to you? I don't know. But yeah, I really like Andy. He's really sweet. He seems like such a nice guy and so real. He's obviously very upset, but he wants to make sure that it's like a safe space for Jude to kind of just like get well, and he knows that Jude thinks of him as a safe place. So yeah, I like him. He's a nice guy. I also really like Harold and his wife. Harold seems like a really sweet man, and though he does ask him some uncomfortable questions, then he stops. I guess, I don't know, for some reason, because of his friends. I don't know, it's really sweet, like that he bought him the suits and he just takes so much care of him. And there was that letter that they exchanged when Jude, by mistake, he like dropped the mug. And then he wrote that apology letter, and Harold wrote him that letter back, and that was just so sweet. I think it was on page 133 is what I have said here. And yeah, apart from that, then we get that whole bit about the monastery. So what the fuck is up with that? That just sounds like, what the hell? I was a little, this is the whole reason why I wanted to start with this. Because Well, it started off fine, and then there was the whole bit about the punishment and the examinations because he started like stealing things because he just, well, he wanted something of his own. And then it says that the examinations happened in the night, and then he kept wetting his bed, and then there was a whole bit of how he punished Jude with the oil and oh my god. And then I thought that, I mean, again, now I'm still reading, so you who have already finished this book would obviously know more, but me who is still on page 156, I do not. So I thought that the priests or the whatever, they were already doing things to Jude, and Luke was not, he was like a sympathizer or something. But then in page 153 he says um it whatever something about how it had never been right again after he followed brother Luke into the greenhouse. And I that's when I started putting this orange tab, which for me marks what the hell. I don't know if you can see, but yes, it means what the hell for me. Wow, I'm really like fucking breaking this book. But I am concerned, and I feel like I just need Hanya Yanagihara to spell it out for me. I don't want to. I like this is just keeping me on tenterhooks, and I don't like it. Okay, that is all for now. I will see you after I finish, I guess, chapter 2, if I have any thoughts, quick ones, and then I'll get to part 3, and then we will discuss again. Great. All right. Bye. So I have finished part 2, which was chapter 2 and 3 of part 2. And why was chapter 2 written from Harold's perspective? I am confused and I don't know who he's writing it to. I'm assuming it's Willem, but yeah, that was, it was really really sweet though. And then chapter 3 was the whole adoption thing, and I swear to God, I was so happy. Like, it's just so nice, but also at the same point of time, with all of the things that Jude is putting himself through, and all of the things that we're kind of finding out through this process, it's scary, and I'm upset about it. So while there was some very happy things happening on the side in terms of like that was the main plot point, but also the underlying thing which you were saying was the self-destructive behavior and the way that Jude's mind works and how he just feels like he's not entitled to love and all the things that he's kind of gone through which make him believe that. And again, there is a reference to Brother Luke and the way he then went into these self-harm thoughts because of that, but we still don't know exactly what. So let's just say that I mixed emotions right now. So that's all. I do know that I have to prepare myself for some really fucked up shit that's gonna happen after this, because of course there is no way that she's going to leave me happy and not make me extremely sad in the next few pages. So preparing. Part 3 wasn't as bad. I did like the way that she described Jude's life and Willem's life and kind of like how that kind of took over. It did have like bursts of vulnerabilities, but not as bad as it was. The third chapter, however, was about JB, and that was just heartbreaking to read because I can kind of understand where he's coming from. He wants to be live this extraordinary sort of life, but he actually has a very ordinary-ish life, and he doesn't. I don't know. I get what he was trying to do and where he was coming from. And just that end, just ah, I didn't cry, but I definitely teared up. About the whole altercation between like JB and Willem and the friend group. And it was just so sweet that even after he made fun of JB, which was just him like lashing out because he was scared and afraid, Jude was still there by his bed, and it just shows how like deep their friendship is, and it's just really really sweet. So JB was, I mean, still is so far my least liked friend between the four, but I'm feeling for him a little more now. So good job, Hanya Yanagihara. Hi, it is the next day now, and I yesterday stopped reading um right around after everything to do with Caleb. I don't think I have disliked a character as much as I have disliked him. It feels, I don't know. I feel just so terrible for Jude because I was feeling terrible for him in the beginning when he was talking about feeling lonely and all of that, and I got it. I understood it. And then when Caleb came in, and I was like, okay, maybe there's some hope, but then it just steadily got worse, and that last bit, just I don't know. Like I said this in my I just filmed my spoiler free bit. But I said that it felt like I was shrinking in, like I was becoming, making myself feel smaller so that I felt like I didn't have to feel the pain that Jude was going through, because it was just so horrific and so terrible. And there was that bit when um he confronted Harold, and like that whole scene, I just felt so terrible for Harold as well. That he was just so confused as to what was going on. And I know that I the next few chapters is going to have to deal with like just dealing with all the repercussions of what happened to Jude towards the end of that chapter with everything that Caleb did to him. But it's just like, how much of shit is this boy gonna deal with? Like, he's in his 40s now, and he was in a safe place, and he thought that things were going okay, but now he thinks that this is just the way things are supposed to be for him. Like, that was the whole point, right? Where, like, X is equal to X, and he feels like since he was badly treated as a child, he's just gonna continue to be badly treated, and there's no hope for him, and it's just so sad. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I think for the next couple of chapters as soon as I have finished reading them. God, what is happening in this book? I was scared to read it, and rightly so, because I have just been sobbing for the last like 20 minutes or so with the second chapter, and just it was written from Harold's perspective and how he kind of saw it, and it was just the sort of helplessness, which made sense because we are in that position right now. We are Harold, we are all Harold right now, who are just feeling so helpless that he would feel this way, and that he is going through so much, and that he has gone through so much of pain. And I oh my god. Oh my god. This is just, it's bad, isn't it? It's oh my. And in the last bit of the second chapter, it just said when Harold was, so clearly he's writing to Willem. Harold is writing to Willem, and he's saying, and in the last paragraph it said when things got bad, and I was like, wait, things are already bad. How are things not all like? How are you saying that things are gonna get worse? And I guess like I should have expected this, because like that's literally what people say, right? Like that this is what this book is about. It just gets worse, but holy, okay. Hi. It has been a while, but for you it has been just a few seconds. Last you saw me sobbing, and now it's almost a week later where I am still reading this book. So I'm here to discuss with you what happened in chapter 3 of part 4. Basically, I stopped reading because as soon as I would open chapter 3, I would see Brother Luke's name all over it, and I just didn't want to read what happened in that part of his life. I feel like I kind of already knew what was happening, but I just didn't want to read it. I wasn't in the space mentally, so I was just like, nope, and I stopped. But then I did read it, and I feel like I had like stilled myself for like what was to come, that I was okay emotionally. Like I didn't like break down and sob, which is, I think, great. um but also goes to show what this book is doing to people and to me. So that's something. Anyway, chapter 3, I feel like, I mean, we already kind of knew that Brother Luke and the stuff that happened in the motels, which was already kind of alluded to, but just the amount of it was a lot. And what shocked me was that the source or the inspiration, the person who told Jude to start cutting himself, was Brother Luke, and that was just like, what the fuck for me. And then you see that, and then you see how you also see the way that Jude starts thinking of ending this for himself, and the whole thing of the hyenas. I think that was the hyenas, I feel, is a really good like, I don't know, literary device, or just like the analogy, which I think is like brilliantly done, to show what's going on in his mind. I think that is absolutely brilliant. um However, we got to the part where he decided to essentially just like die, and then he didn't. And then you see him in the hospital, and what that was like, and what that was like for everyone else. And I feel like it was just a lot. I didn't cry, as I said, but it was just very painful to read, and all of that. But yeah, then we were done with chapter 3, and then we moved on to part 5, I think, which is the happy years. And in the happy years, the first chapter is from Willem's perspective. And I like Willem's perspective. It is just a nicer, calmer place, to be honest. And yeah, but I like the way that things have progressed for Willem, and how, um, I don't know, things are going good for him. I also really like the aspect of him and Jude getting together. Though from the beginning I was a little concerned as to how Jude would feel. Like, I know that he was feeling lonely, and Jude and Willem together are absolutely perfect. I don't think Jude could have asked for a better partner. But yeah, it was nice. It was sweet in the beginning. And I thought that it was really cute. But then we got to part 2, which was, chapter 2, which was then from Jude's perspective, and I'm still in the middle of it, so I've not finished it, but um, it's it's really troubling to see how he is so afraid of losing what he has, that he resorts to doing all of these things, and all of like his brain, Jude's brain is just, and the way that he thinks is a lot. So all of the things that he then resorts to doing is also a lot. I don't know, I feel like the amount of self-harm that I have read is, I am going to say for the umpteenth time, a lot. I do not know whether this was really needed, and I am concerned for Miss Yanagihara and what is going on in her brain, and the amount of research that she's had to do, or like, hopefully she's never had to do this herself. But I am concerned, because I get what people mean by like torture porn now, because with the last thing that I read was the burning that he decided to do, where he burnt himself, and just like the amount of pain that I know that that was, and just by seeing the way Andy reacted as well, you know that this was not okay, and it's just it's just a lot. And in my spoiler-free vlog, which I just recorded, uh, my thoughts for that. I said I spoke about whether if this book wasn't as lauded as it was and all of that sort of stuff, would I have DNF'd this book at this point of time given everything? And I think maybe yes. I do want to know what came of these characters, but I maybe can just Google it, or but I'm still gonna go ahead and read it. But it's a lot. And yeah. I am now going to continue reading, and I will let you know what I think of the rest of chapter 2 of part 5. Hello and welcome to the next day. Hi. After I read finished part 5, I went into depression sleep because of what happened in the end, which I will talk to you about. But first, let me tell you about what happened, my thoughts during chapter 2 of part 5. And this is when we basically got to know about Jude's backstory, like completed his backstory with everything that happened with um the guy, the doctor trainer, and what he did and how Jude kind of like dealt with it. First of all, it was sort of horrific to think of all of the things that he had to do to try to get to Boston. And it was like he said it himself. He's like he had enough money, but then why did he keep like asking for lifts from these drivers who he knew who would do bad things to him, and like he just didn't have any answers. It's just what he was used to in terms of the abuse that he had taken. He was just used to that sort of life, and that's just fucking something. So yeah, this part of the book also I felt like had a lot of my what the fuck moments, because just the way that he and I mean Jude and Willem's relationship sort of came into the fray here was just something, in terms of like the way Willem was just like, I can't deal with this anymore, like you need to just tell me. And there were just scenes where you got to see how Willem was at his like wits end, um and like when he like cut himself also to see what it was like, or to make Jude stop, or something like that, or when that time in like Thanksgiving where he like removed all of Jude's, like that whole like tussle that they got into and stuff like that. I just feel like that was, you could really see that Willem just didn't know what to do anymore, and he was just really at his wits' end. But yeah, and then, well, Jude told him the entire story, and then we got to know what happened through that. So, well, there was that, and then we got to know the whole story. So that was end of chapter 2, and then in chapter 3, things were starting to get better again, weren't they? Things were really fucking starting to get better, and then it was great. Like they were getting like, okay, there was the amputation thing, which was not great, but then after that, it seemed like things were going good for him. Everything just seemed fine, and then the last bit of that chapter happened, and that I just did not see that coming at all. Like that broke me. Like I couldn't deal with it. It was just too much for me. I mean, I never thought that she would take Willem away from us. You know what I mean? I always thought that there would be something bad that would happen to Jude. I never thought that something bad would happen to Willem. But I should have known. I should have freaking known. Like, she made us fall in love with the character. Obviously, she was gonna fucking take it. Like, that's the easiest way to, like, make us feel pain, right? Oh my god. It was just, I'm just, yeah, I was, and it's like literally the last few, like 3 paragraphs of that, um, of that chapter, I felt broken when I read that. I have it, and then literally I was just like, I don't want to know what happened after this. I read like maybe like a page after that. It didn't really say anything, so I was just like, no, I'm not gonna get into more sadness, and I just like fell asleep. I was just like, nope, this is not, nope. Um, and yeah, that's what happened. Um, so I am going to now read the rest of it, I guess. But in terms of the book, it was I don't know, man. I don't know anymore. This book is just like fucking with me. You know what I mean? Hi, I'm done with chapter 1 of Dear Comrade, and I have sobbed many buckets. This one was essentially dealing with Jude's grief, and I felt it in my soul. Like, I really felt it in my soul. Uh, just all the anger and blanking out and all of that. It's stuff that I have unfortunately had to deal with myself, and it was very well portrayed in the book. I'm just glad that there are people like Richard and Andy and JB, and even though I didn't quite like JB so much, I feel like, I mean, they're the only ones left now, so oh, fucking sucks. Okay, I'm gonna get back to it. Hello and welcome to many days after you saw me cry last. I spent a good chunk of time just like sitting with my feels, getting readjusted into regular life, I guess. Uh, but I am here now to talk about uh the book and the two parts which I did not speak about, which is the first part. I'm just going to do it in terms of parts. So I spoke about the first chapter of Dear Comrade, so I'm just going to talk now about the rest of Dear Comrade, the whole part, and then we will talk about Lispnad Street. So I'm just going to name parts of the this parts the part that I thought were just like really hit out for me or like stayed with me. And one was when they had gone to the Irvine's house, like Malcolm's house, and then they were sharing stories about Malcolm, and the story that Jude shared about Malcolm and about how like he really cared about him and how it needed to be perfect for him, and just it just really like gave me that perspective of like how Malcolm really thought and how he was just such a wonderful character. And this is one of the reasons why I felt like this book robbed me of me getting to know more about Malcolm. I wish we knew more about him because he's just such a wonderful, caring character. I just really wish we got to see more facets to him. Um, but yeah, that part really got me in my feels. Um, and then the other bit was the intervention, when they had the intervention, and Jude just broke down and he asked Harold to please let him go and let him renege on his promise of not killing himself, and you could just see the pain that he was going through, and just everything that he was feeling at that point of time. That was just really intense again. And I think the most beautiful but the most intense part was after the intervention, when he had gone to meet Julia and Harold, and like after he was in the hospital and all of that sort of stuff, and he'd gone to meet Julia and Harold, and how he was just trying to scare them away, and he wanted them to like just say, okay, now like leave us now, or like he thought that they were going to leave as well, so he was doing everything in his might to make sure that that happened now. And there was that bit where he like threw the sandwich against the wall, and here's the thing, he's 50 in this book at this point of time, and he's acting like this child, and then but then Harold and Julia come and they hug him and they tell him that it's fine and they give him comfort and all of that, and that was just such a beautiful moment because shit, he felt like he would be punished because that's what he felt like he deserved, but instead he finally got the love that he'd been wanting all of these years. That it really got to me, that bit. And I forgot one part in Dear Comrade. Sorry, forgot one part. And that is of the whole JB thing. And the painting that he did and everything that he did was absolutely lovely and so amazing. But why did he have to try to kiss Jude? Like, JB, he has just the worst coping mechanisms. Uh, it's just so bad, and I felt so bad for the both of them. It was, but yeah, there was that. Moving on now to Lispinard Street. So Lispinard Street, it started off actually quite happily. But of course, it was told from Harold's perspective, and whenever I get a chapter or anything from Harold's perspective, I know I am going to sob. Like, each and every chapter that has come in from Harold's perspective, I have sobbed like a baby. Okay, so there's that. But it was happy in the beginning, right? When they went to Rome, and then there were all of those things that we saw where Harold was finally looking at him as like his son. I mean, not finally, but like, that whole interaction of like his son and like all of, the guy who was like, oh, is he your son? And like he just had those cute things, and then there were these cute interactions where like he finally like learned how to cook, like Jude taught him how to cook properly and stuff like that. And there was just those really heartwarming scenes, but you could see that even though Jude was improving after finally going to like Dr. Lohman and stuff like that, and he was opening up a little bit and telling like these stories to Harold, he still was holding back and he still wasn't doing great, which is why when it came to the point of there was this point where we get to know that Jude actually died because of suicide, and he finally that you could see in the vlog where I am the spoiler free vlog, I am audibly saying like no 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 while I'm reading the book and also listening to the audiobook. It just to read it and to hear it was just a lot, and I don't know, it just, I knew that it was gonna happen, but for it to actually happen was something. And I think the thing that really 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 got to me, which is what I think got Harold as well, was the fact that Jude, in his letter where he explained everything that happened to him and his past, he still apologized for deceiving Harold and Julia, and that was just so terrible. But you know what she did, which was terrible, was that we hear of Jude's death, and then immediately after that, like she says, and then Andy died 3 years later, and 2 years after that, like Richard dies, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? So I'm like sobbing even more because I'm like, they died too, and like then it's only JB, and it was it was just a very difficult time. And it was very difficult to read, and experience, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah. In terms of my final thoughts on the book, I have my final thoughts that I have given in my spoiler free vlog. So I don't want to like repeat myself necessarily. So it'd be great if you could go check that part out. I have timestamps, etc. So you can just go to that part if you want. I have read my share of sad books, but this was just next level. And so anyway, that's about it from me. Those were my thoughts while reading the book. This was a very um spur of the moment sort of thing that I did, and I do not know how this is gonna turn out. So fingers crossed, I guess. But I hope that you liked the way that this turned out, and if you please, the whole point of this was that we discuss it in the comments. So please do head over to the comments and tell me your thoughts or anything like that. I would absolutely love to discuss, and please do add like spoiler till that time for other people who may not have reached that part or whatever. But cool, that's about it. If you do want to check out my spoiler free vlog, please do head on over there to check that out. Because I also have, as I said, my full thoughts on the book. And yes, thank you so much for watching. Again, I have no idea what this video is gonna be like, so thanks for watching. Okay. Bye.